Welcome to Chattin' Shit, the podcast that's technically about gut health, but who knows what pan the chat will end up in. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Alana. After a life of cabbage soup diets, energy drinks, and travelling the world as DJs,
we volunteered for medical research.
We sent off loads of poo samples and found out that despite being identical twins, our guts are completely different.
Basically the same as strangers.
We also learned that gut health is serious stuff and linked to pretty much everything from mental health to immunity.
When we first started on our journey, our favourite thing to do was to take the experts and scientists out for pints to pick their brains about the latest findings.
So we thought we'd do that again with some of our celeb pals so they can ask the top experts in the world anything they like.
Literally anything. This is Chattin' Shit. So when we came up with the idea for the show, we wanted to merge pop culture and microbes. I cannot think of a better duo in order to do that. So we're fangirl, and I feel like this is like the both sides of my personality today. It's like come together and life has just come full circle. So first up, Gareth from Hunsnet. I can't believe that I'm actually in the, we are really fangirl. And do you know what? You are the most followed Instagram account of the people that we follow on Instagram.
Oh, hi.
So you've cut through our culture like you would not believe.
Right.
You couldn't be more in our sphere.
Well, I'm in the sphere. I feel like I'm in the sphere.
Can you explain Hunsnet for, nobody, but people that wouldn't know what a Hun is?
So, how long's this podcast?
You've got as much time as you. You've got 45 minutes, actually. We could just do
Right, we're going to have to do an extended cut. No, Hunsnet is an extension of Hun Culture. So it's a real celebration of Hun Culture. And if you're thinking, like, what is Hun Culture? If you like a bit of a laugh, if you like 90s naughty celebrities, if you like pop culture quotes, if you like iconic music, if you like drinkies with the girlies, if you're Fiat 500, if you live, laugh, love, and you don't have to be any of these, but you can live vicariously through any of these, then you might be a bit of a Hun.
Jane McDonald, I think, is like the good. She's like a good Hun.
Well, she's like the Grand High Hun, isn't she?
She's the Grand High Hun.
Yeah, she is. She's up there.
And what could be? I don't know if gut health is more or less Hun. I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Everything can be Hunned to a certain extent. So I'm thinking.
Honed and Hun.
Yeah, I think today's the day where we're going to delve deep and find the Hunnery in our stomach.
Right, and from the author of our favourite Instagram account to the author of our favourite Substack, and one of the most brutally brilliant academic dietitian and researchers fighting for scientific credibility and honesty is Dr. Nicola Guess.
Nicola, am I right in thinking that you do not show your face often? I mean, obviously out in public, but on the internet, I don't think you don't do much front-facing
I grew up in the 90s, so I love Hunsnet, and I don't take selfies. I can't even figure out how to position it to make myself look like a normal human. So no, I don't show my face very much.
No, even your WhatsApp is not you. It's a avatar.
Oh, it's a little cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
was like, oh my God, what does Nicola look like? I don't know what she looks like.
I think the photo I use when conferences say, can we get a photo, is from 1998.
Canteen.
Best years.
The best years, exactly.
But when we were looking at who do we want on the podcast and who we're going to pair, we noticed that you already followed Hunsnet and we were like, yes.
It makes me laugh my ass off. On the tube every day, it's like, oh, this is what I live for.
Oh, Hun.
I also think there is, and we'll probably get into this, the 90s and noughties, fad diets. I mean, we did all of them. The cabbage soup diet, pre-Magaluf 2005.
And then went to Magaluf and drank 40 litres of vodka.
Do you remember the cabbage soup diet?
Balance.
Did you do that?
Yeah, I did loads of sort of diet things in the 90s and noughties, and I think that one of my favourites was a Christmas diet that I did once.
Christmas?
No, it was at Christmas. I used to work at Pontins, and we had rehearsals and stuff like that, and costumes to get into, and I was just drinking dough egg butts and smoking Marlboro Lights for the whole time. It was brilliant. Wouldn't recommend.
That's a great diet.
Would not recommend in today's day and age. But
Alana and I for lunch used to have deep fried pizza and chips.
Yeah.
And a Greg softie and 10 Lambert and Butler.
And maybe a
Yum
pick and
Yum.
mix if we had any money left. Money left.
And now look at us, microbes going strong.
I used to have an ice bun.
An ice bun.
I was the poor student diet. So at sixth form, it was ice bun because that was the cheapest thing. And maybe a can of Coke, seriously. And then I became a dietitian. University was whatever was cheapest. And sometimes it was chips.
Yeah.
Just chips was my lunch.
I was going to
and
say,
chips was my dinner.
because you wouldn't expect you to, you wouldn't expect you to have ever a Diet Coke have ever crossed your lips, but
Poverty diet. So it wasn't like based around the nutritional composition. It was basically, I'm a student, I haven't got much cash. And sometimes it's like, how can I buy the calories I need to go out drinking and clubbing for the night? Like that's garlic bread, like 99p for like 1,000 calories, boom.
Super noodles were great as well. Do you remember super noodles? That was a good
We used to
diet.
get the sort of cheaper version of the noodles.
Or those cans of baked beans and sausages.
oh, remember you used to get a whole breakfast one? All breakfast that had a Scotch egg in it and everything.
Oh, fantastic.
They are back, I think. They are literally back.
Let's bring those back.
Yeah. And meals in a can is something that I live for. And I think we should.
Baked beans, high in fibre.
High in fibre.
I'm all about the baked
beans.
beans.
Gotcha.
I mean, sure, but let's be serious.
Look, baked beans are Hun.
They are Hun.
Fibre is
They are
Hun.
no, but I feel like they've got to be with sausages to be Hun.
Okay, but what's
Yeah.
the nutritional composition of a
We've got
sausage?
the
for
expert.
gut?
We've got the expert. Do we need sausages to be Hun?
Hun, I am all for any type of processed meat in a can. And that's mixed with orange, mixed in orange tomato
Liquid.
sauce. Yeah, I'm all for it. Yeah.
We actually our mum used to put packets of super noodles in our case when we went on holiday to have for our lunch. So mum would make us packets of the super noodles from home.
She thought she was
in
doing
our
us a
case.
favour, but
yeah.
probably not great.
Can we think
for
of
our
any
gut health.
nutritional value in a super noodle or a pot noodle?
I mean, it's got some carbohydrate in it.
It's got
but
some carbohydrate.
not much else, let's be honest. I mean, baked beans are fine.
Baked beans. I think we can take that. We can take that.
Don't sleep on baked beans.
Any other? The other diets I was thinking of was cayenne pepper Beyonce diet. Do you remember that one?
Didn't do that one myself, but I was Heat magazine used to do diets of the week, didn't they? And there was always some sort of random sort of combination, wasn't there? And I would imagine
The
that
Dukin one we did for a while, where you basically ate chicken. That was it.
It was meat and yogurt. That
Meat
was it.
and yogurt. Yeah.
But to be honest with you, the worry is that's a comeback on. They're called meatfluencers on TikTok.
Really?
Yeah, people just purely eating meat.
Well, isn't that the Atkins diet, isn't it? That will
yeah,
the whole,
and you basically have like a fry up.
yeah. I mean,
or-
I got to be honest with you. I did the Atkins diet and I fucking loved it. Loved it.
Is the Atkins diet good for our gut health?
I mean, no.
Okay.
And so it's one of those things, it can be great for people if they like it. It can be a great way for managing weight. It can be a good way of getting type 2 diabetes under control. Bad idea for the gut. So if ever I have people, they're like, I love the carnivore diet, I love keto, whatever it is, fantastic. Just figure out a way to add like low carb veggies in. And basically it's pretty much all veggies apart from like peas, squash and parsnips.
Keto is you can't have much with keto, can you? Apart from
You can, like it's just about keeping carbohydrate down. So as long as you avoid the starches, you're pretty much there.
okay.
And you can have like berries, you can have a reasonable amount of fruit and veggies in the diet. So it can actually be healthy. And I know you're going to ask me about red flags and about how to spot people who know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And red flags are people who have one diet and one way only.
Okay, so that's like if you're looking for nutritional advice on the internet,
Yeah.
and someone's peddling one thing,
Yes.
don't listen to them.
Yes. And when they put things into good and bad camps, because that's
Okay.
not really how nutrition works.
Yeah, because I guess in the 90s and noughties, it was just Heat magazine that we got our
Nutritional information
Oh, well, it
from
was.
Politics,
Yeah, not everything.
global affairs.
Yeah,
But I can't remember thinking where else we would have got it from. Maybe in the.
On my podcast that I've been doing recently, we've been revisiting some of like the magazines from back in the day, and it's things like More Magazine and Just 17, which were teen mags as well.
17.
It was all in that as well, and then it sort of just went into like all of the celebrity gossip mags, and it was, oh my god, so and so's on the red carpet looking amazing, oh, do the diet, do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
it just, when you think about it now, it's like mind-blowing. But there was a time me and my friends were all part of that culture and didn't think anything of it.
and that's the thing. Like from such a young age, we were copying very, very, very extreme diets at that time. Like it is actually quite dangerous when you think about it. I mean, obviously now youngsters have got to compete with social media and new forms of Eckies and stuff like that. I don't know, but at the time there was I don't know what newfangled things they're having. We actually, when we DJ'd, they're actually very sensible. Like when we did like Love Island tours, we used to have to like take 2 contestants and then we would DJ, and obviously a lot of the kids were younger, and I'm like, what are they on? Because they're just sort of drinking coffee and hypothesizing about the world. But
How are they making mistakes?
But they're better than we were. I think
I
that
think they
generation.
were.
Like, I think they are just better than us.
If I got out of bed before midday when I was like 20, that was just the achievement of the year.
Yeah. And now they like drink super greens and go for runs before 6 a.m.
Yeah, I think that the binge drinking culture, like my boyfriend's sister, she's just recently graduated university and she doesn't drink. And which is on one side, it's like brilliant, but on the other side, it blows my 2001 mind. Do you know what I mean?
How are you making mistakes?
No, I think it's money. I think it's that alcohol is so expensive. So I went to Nottingham. I remember a triple for £1.50.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think it's a good thing, don't get me wrong, but I think people can't afford it nowadays. So they don't.
What was your drink of choice?
Oh, it's always been vodka and Diet Coke. This is a classic 90s drink, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
VDC.
least classy
VDC.
beverage there is. And if someone said, here's a 300 quid glass of red wine, the finest red wine there is, or double vodka and Diet Coke, it's the latter all day long. I'm not a classy human being.
Really?
I do my best. I really do
Your
try.
Substack. I thought you would
I
love
really
a
do
good
try.
Merlot, Nicola. Now it's all coming out. Now I know why you wanted to do this episode. A VDC and a
tried-
WKD, that's you.
No, wait, I tried to get into Scotch. Because, classy people
Like
sip
Mad Men,
Scotch.
like Mad Men.
They do. In Mad And it's disgusting.
It's at the end of the night when you've got nothing left to drink and you're wanting to get a bit deep and meaningful with a Vogue menthol, maybe. Vogue
The glamour.
The glamour.
The glamour of a Vogue menthol.
Actually, Alana and
Do
I
not smoke, kids.
Yeah, don't smoke. It's not good for your microbes, is it?
Microbes is the least of your worries
Where's
when it
it?
comes to
Got it. Yeah, probably there's something that happens here first before it
I
gets
think
down
it
to
might
there.
be.
Yeah.
Can you believe as well, back in the day, like we used to, like vodka Red Bull, like we were wired walking around with like vodka Red Bull. But I'm not talking like, if I had a Red Bull now, like I'd probably have like one a year. I was having like 10 a night. Do you know what I mean? I'll give me the can, I'll take the can.
It's literally palpable. Our DJ rider used to be vodka Red Bulls, but we'd specify Glen's vodka, like the shittest vodka. Actually, it needs to be Glen's. And then
No, it just needs to come in a plastic bottle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
God,
yes.
remember?
Yeah.
I saw actually a lot of Glen's got recalled. I'm like, it was a bit late. It was wasted. Do you see that?
I was going to repost that as a public service announcement because I thought I know my followers and I really hope some of my followers are fellow
Glen's.
cheap and chavvy vodka drinkers.
Yeah. Well, cider was the main. And cider is that quite good for your gut health? Cider? Fermented?
I don't know, but I really doubt it.
You don't know.
And again, we're
clutching at straws here with the different alcohol types.
we're going to get into some of the things that you're going to ask me, which are serious questions about like
Well, that's a serious question. I thought it was
what alcohol should I drink for my gut microbiome?
Yeah.
So another red flag is when people only focus on one aspect of physiology. So whenever you're talking about that, like Tim Spector, everything is about the microbiome. And now the microbiome is important, but it's not the be all and end all.
Okay.
So if you ask me a question about alcohol, my response is it's a carcinogen. So forget your microbiome. Everyone knows that, and I say this as a vodka drinker, ethanol's not doing you any favours. And that has nothing to, or not everything to do with the microbiome.
Is there any good news on alcohol?
Yeah. Throw us a bone.
fun.
Please.
Oh, wait. So it's
fun.
fun.
Okay.
And, my whole approach to nutrition, and actually the reason why I am frankly quite vicious about people who make people worry, is life should be fun. Most people have enough to worry about. And so making people scared about things that don't matter is just unforgivable, I think. And alcohol is fun.
Yes.
For people who like it and can drink it and enjoy it, blah, blah, blah.
I recently gave up alcohol for 6 months because cards on the table, I went on a cruise and just had the best time. I came back and I needed to feel like healthy again. And this was back in last October, and I was like, I'm just going to give it a month. Christmas season for me is really busy, lots of parties, lots of events that I do. And I was like, I need to just have a bit of a break. And I sort of stayed with it for six months.
That's a long time.
Yeah. And you know what, there were some major upsides to it. And, my gut health got improved and has still improved, even though now I drink less than I'm back on the booze, basically. But I just wasn't having as much fun as I used to because I just like having a little drinky,
So I cut out during the pandemic. It had gotten to the point, February of 21, waiting for the vaccination. I was like Prosecco at 11 a.m. Like it had gotten that bad. Yeah. And then you do recognise it, don't you? You think, do you know what? Hold on a second. This is not good. So I cut it out for like 6 months. I was like, I'm not having fun drinking at home anymore. You know, the pandemic was awful, and I was like, right, let's see how this works out. And it was fine, and I think that's a good sign. It wasn't remotely hard, but I think it's about balance. So I was in Madrid last week for a conference, and you asked for a
Do scientists go cray-cray when they're at conferences? Does it get wild?
I don't, because I'm old and I can't do it anymore. And it's like the ability now, I really like to go out and have a couple of drinks, and I'm well known for like 9:30 switching to like orange juice or water. I think is seriously, like I'm like a boomer because I like to wake up in the morning feeling human. So it's like going out and enjoying yourself a bit. And then I think the worst thing about alcohol and healthiness is that it makes you make bad decisions.
Yes.
Like when you're drunk, you get a kebab and cakes and stuff on the way home. You know what I mean?
And the next day, you want to reach for
you wake up and you're like, oh, let me have a fry up and then a donut at 11 a.m. to settle my stomach.
Speaking of OJ, I actually made a little list of, and we could probably go through it, the three of us, and just sort of hit you with them, of like 90s and noughties fad diets and or products that I know you don't like to be binary about good and bad for your gut health.
Let me try.
I'm assuming it's all bad. But Sunny D was seen as your 5 a day. One of your 5 a day. Someone turned orange from Sunny D.
Yes.
Like, Sunny D is very Hun Culture.
Yes, it is, because it epitomises...
You don't need your Saint-Tropez. You just need to drink Sunny D.
No, you just need to get down your need local newsagent, and just... There was a particular one where I think it was like the science was if you drank loads of it. I don't think anyone did actually go orange, but I think that there was, if you drank gallons and gallons and gallons of it.
If anyone knows, confirm.
No, maybe this speaks to me always being kind of healthy, but I don't think I ever had a Sunny D.
Whoa. We had them in our lunchbox, the little mini ones. Yeah, the mini ones.
Yeah, there was two, wasn't there? There was like Californian Crush
and then a red one.
And a Florida one, I think.
Yeah.
Hashtag Sunny D.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my crazy ignorance. And was this just like orange juice dressed up to be fancy, or was it like 1% orange juice?
It tasted like every sugary thing you've ever ate in a bottle, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like how could, but it was like crack.
And
like,
did it
was an American thing. I'm sure it was an American thing.
I remember when it came over, it was around the times of like Jolly Rancher Sweets, Push Pops, and there was Sunny D. Basically anything that you could buy from a newsagent. It's very newsagenty, isn't it? That and Ginsters.
And also, I remember Sunny D and Sunnin.
Oh, God,
yeah. When you used to do you remember that?
I did do Sunnin. I did do Sunnin. Yeah.
Don't know what the nutritional value of.
Just, when I had hair back in the day, I literally looked at like Wurzel Gummidge at points with like straw hair and sun-ins and like cap throughs and everything. It's
oh my God, remember that? Getting highlights through a cap.
Oh,
Lisa, we used to do each other's. Painful. We used to do each other's with like a DIY job.
Yeah, what was that shop called that you could go and pretend to be a hairdresser and they'd sell you bleach?
Oh, Sally's?
Sally's. And you'd go and you'd be like, here's, I could take my friend's card from, there was a hairdresser, and they'd be like, what salon do you work at? I'm like, oh, this is one day. I was actually a Saturday girl.
Curl up and die.
We're going to curl up and die.
You used to lose a little toothpick thing
to get through.
We used to do it to each other.
Did you have any disasters?
Oh, I mean, it was like chewing gum, our hair. And then Alana went all brunette at one point.
Well, it was half and half. And it was like half and
stripy. Yeah. Actually, then we, at one point, I thought this was very Hun, when we were illegally going to nightclubs. The tips of your hair dyed different colours.
Oh, yeah.
Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
And our friend actually got house bleach and put it on the end of her hair and then put some...
Hardcore.
God. And we used to iron our hair as well.
Yeah.
We used to iron it on the actual iron.
On an iron.
My favourite at the time was when, and I had this because I had like longer hair at times, or mullets. So I basically looked like a cockatoo. It was when the highlights were chunky, and I call them now Astro Belt highlights. I don't know why, because they're literally like Astro Belts, the sweets, but they're in highlight colour.
I think we should bring that back, the chunky highlights. Anyway, we deviate from food. Skinny teas. Are skinny teas like 90s and noughties? I remember weight loss pills that had taurine in them and things that used to make your heart. Do you remember them? They used to make your heart go.
Yeah, any over-the-counter weight loss drugs are a terrible, terrible idea.
Okay,
if it makes your heart speed up, it's a terrible, terrible, terrible idea.
Okay, and skinny teas.
Maybe, again, this is why I became a dietitian. Maybe even as a 17-year-old, I looked at these things and thought that is clearly bullshit.
Yeah.
So was the selling point of skinny teas that it increases your metabolism and stuff?
I don't think it even got there. I think it was just like, this will make you skinny, drink it.
Yeah.
So basically, don't eat anything, just drink tea.
It was called skinny tea. It was called skinny tea.
And the idea was that you just drink them
And then you'd lose weight.
And then you'd
and
lose
not
weight.
eat anything. I mean, number one, if you don't consume any calories, yes, of course, you're going to lose weight. That's not a great idea and a way to approach weight loss if you happen to want to lose weight. You do see occasionally with coffee and tea and other things that it increases your metabolism and oxidizes fat. It does not to any significant degree. So drink coffee and tea
That's
to
good
wake
to know,
you
actually,
up.
'cause people do take black coffee. Remember there was that whole thing of those bullet coffees
Yeah.
that people would have to lose weight. So that's bullshit.
I mean, it does slightly increase your metabolism, but it won't do this to any degree that's beneficial or any meaningful impact on fat oxidation.
To just have a normal Hun cup of tea.
Yeah.
Just
Be
enjoy
builders.
it. Just again, like I hope this comes up a lot throughout this conversation. Have it and enjoy it because it's a lovely thing to drink. Like I drink green tea, and I would like to make very clear before it became the wankers drink. So I drank it in my
It's not quite matcha wanker.
no, it's not quite. I don't even like matcha, so I feel quite proud of that. I haven't moved quite into that wankerism. But in my second year, into the 90s, I was a second year student in Nottingham, lived with some girls from Hong Kong, and they were like, hey, try this green tea. And I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever drunk it ever since. Not an Islington wanker. So, but I don't drink it for the health benefits. And people see me and they're like, oh, you're a nutrition scientist. Do you drink this because it's got this epico-gallicin gacylate or whatever
Is that what it is?
some polyphenol sounding thing? And I'm like, no, I like it. And I think that's a good reason to do lots of things.
You were an OG. You're an OG.
I'm an OG. I love that. Yeah, I'm a green tea OG.
What's your hot beverage of choice?
Black coffee.
And I like being queued behind you in Starbucks. I love it when people are like, black coffee, boom.
Yeah. Black coffee. We had this, we've got this coffee machine, you know, like the bean to cup, and we've had it for like 5 years, rinsed it.
Bean to cup.
He's doing well for himself. He's got a bean to cup. So sophisticated. That's go
Is it
well
bean
for
to
a
cup? I'm not having it. Yeah, so we've got this machine, and we've had it for 5 years, and the seal's gone inside of it. And I bought the new seal from Amazon. I was like, right, I'm going to get this sorted. Then realised I didn't have the correct Allen key to fix it, so it's literally been sat there now for months. So I've been like, cost of living crisis, going into the supermarkets and just getting the cheapest coffee, instant coffee. But I'm kind of like hooked on it now. I'm kind of like, I don't think I'll go back to bean to cup.
Yeah,
Like
our
actual-
mum kicks off
like
if we don't have instant coffee in
Insta.
my house. Yeah, is that's not nutritionally?
I mean, no,
good,
I was
is it?
thinking it tastes like Marmite.
Yeah. But when you need that caffeine, your barriers will lower.
Give me the head.
Just give it to me.
Yeah, because is bean to cup better for you in terms of?
I mean, I don't think it makes an enormous amount of difference. It is true that coffee has a reasonable amount of fibre in it,
We'll take that.
but it's not going to have, like, if I were to say, how should I get my fibre? Fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes, and enjoy coffee if you happen to enjoy it. Like, where you hear that, oh, it's got polyphenols, it does this, it's beneficial for our microbiomes. I haven't seen any evidence it has any meaningful impact.
Right,
So in
yeah, I need
terms
to
of
stop you there because I've clung on to that. So I've been clinging on to that in my sleep deprived state that and it's good for microbes and I need it. So
like, I don't think it's bad for it, but like the idea, like, so for example, like people say this about spices. And I say this because there was a recent supplement for like 40 quid and it's a bag of seeds and it says, oh, it's got all these spices that change the microbiome and are beneficial for the microbiome. So I'm pretty open-minded and I go, well, it's not my research area. Let me look into it.
Let me dive right in.
Let me dive right in. And it's like, even if you give 6 grams or more, you can't detect anything in good trials that's good quality evidence. In other words, reproducible, that it makes a change that is meaningful and that we can measure. Okay. So it's not that it's bad. It's just it probably isn't potent enough to do anything that has a particularly beneficial effect.
I think as well that's the sort of stuff we all reach for. We had a big drinkies with the girlies night. Super greens and stuff like that. Like it is luring. Those things are luring because they present a solution that looks like it's got a lot of vegetables in one. When you're feeling a bit sick and you're like, I probably don't want to have a salad, I'll have that. But actually the science just isn't really there.
Yeah, I think what the problem with those things is the claims, the evidence don't match the claims. So it's not, again, that those things are bad. Like a lot of the green things that I've seen, they're not going to do you any harm. But it's just the way they claim that it's like, oh, this is equivalent to having 5 plants a day or something. It's not doing the same thing that whole fruit and veg are, for example.
It's interesting how things are like marketed, because there's something that I going completely off topic, cereals. I used to love cereals, and I can remember as a kid the phrase "part of a healthy breakfast." So in my head, I was like, "Oh well, it's a healthy breakfast," and kind of missed the part of thing. But it's actually not part. It's just full of sugar. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you had, fruit and veg for your breakfast, and then you just tiny bowl of cornflakes, then it's part of a healthy breakfast. But in my head, I was like, it was healthy, as they've said it on the telly.
The marketing claims of breakfast cereals is pretty shocking. And like the way they advertise them with cartoon characters and stuff for kids, and they put toys in there. Like that's really reduced the opportunity for kids to get something nutritional in the morning. And once you're into those foods like Cocoa Pops and stuff.
I was just about to say Cocoa Pop. It does hit a spot though.
Oh God, yeah.
A good bowl of Cocoa Pops.
I
It does
like them
hit a spot.
dry. I like them dry as a little snack. But they just
They're little mini
disintegrate
poos,
into
like little
milk.
rabbit poos of a snack.
They do
really.
look
Hamster
like
poo,
rabbit poos.
more size.
They're just like little rabbits.
You've ruined them
You can
forever
never eat
now.
again. Sorry.
It's like someone told me that mushrooms have the texture of slugs.
Oh,
And ever
God.
since,
I'd never thought that before.
no, but think about it.
Oh, and like on a pizza.
Right,
I
what
know
am
I
I
do
gonna eat
like. I do
tonight
now.
now?
Like, I've got an over for it. But for many years, I was just like, it does. It
They do
tastes
sort
like,
of sit in their own watery bath on a pizza, don't they? Like they're sort of in their own wee bath.
I eat mushrooms raw as I'm cutting them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I quite
Mushrooms
like
good for your
it.
gut health, are they?
like any vegetables, but I doubt that they do anything above and beyond other vegetables. So for example, okay, let's go back to that 40 quid bag of seeds. And it sort of says, oh, it's got these fancy mushrooms in it. And this is another thing that bothers me. The likelihood or the evidence we have that 99p frozen peas are not as healthy as something like, is it cordyceps mushroom? These really posh, expensive ones. Makes zero bloody difference. So if you happen to enjoy eating raw mushrooms, go for it. But it just makes healthy nutrition so inaccessible. Like having tinned mandarins, like I have that. Super cheap. You can
Oh my
store
God, that
them.
reminds me of Grandad's house.
They don't.
With
go
a
off.
meringue.
Or in a
Oh, so
With
good.
tin mandarin. Oh my God, that is like
And I love
taking
the
me back.
juice. So I keep them in my fridge
Syrupy
because it's so
goodness.
refreshing during the summer. And like stuff like that, it's super cheap, it's accessible. If you are a busy professional or you've got kids, it's not going to go off. And it's just this whole sexing up of nutrition, like, oh, you've got to have an expensive bag of greens or expensive mushrooms. It's just really not helpful.
Well, that's the thing. That's the good thing about, Iceland, very Hun culture.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Frozen food, like frozen fruit
Yeah.
and veg, still got good nutritional value in it.
Oh,
Honestly,
100%.
those
And very
frozen
often more
berries.
so.
More so.
Yeah.
They're literally my go-to. They go right in the porridge.
We had a light bulb moment at home, and it was like we would go to the local Asda supermarket, and you get like the Mediterranean fruit and veg, which is like a tray of things. You stick it in your oven, and they're like £1.80. And then for one day they weren't there, and my boyfriend came back and he was like, well, I bought this frozen, and we were like, oh God. And then but it's exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? It's exactly the same.
Yeah. I think it has this, if you're not spending a lot of money on nutrition, it doesn't count. Whereas, yeah, the frozen is very often, it preserves a lot more of the vitamins than food that's been sitting on a shelf does. But it's also convenient.
Yeah.
And food waste is a massive issue. So I really like frozen veggies because, for example, if I'm super busy and I come in late, I can cook up tofu in like 2 minutes. I get ready-made noodles. And then I get some frozen noodle mix or bean sprouts.
And you can get like blocks of spinach and
Ginger.
Yeah, exactly.
Freeze all my ginger.
Oh, I freeze the ginger and I freeze the
I never
garlic
use
and
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I never use it. Or
right
just
next to the ice cubes for your gin. Actually, I went into we were filming something at my house, and we were doing like a weaning thing, and I went in to get the pre-thinged weaning for the baby, and there was just like 2 massive frozen bottles of gin, and I was like, oh no, thank you. I'm just getting the frozen blocks of spinach out from here. Thank you very
You
much.
need that when you're one in the gym.
But there's another study to say that veg that's been in the fridge for 5 days, it's actually frozen veg is actually better than the stuff that's been in the fridge for
I'm
5 days.
sure that's true for most of the vitamins, yeah. Because
You know, in scientific studies and everything like that.
I think Hunsnet, we should bring back frozen veg.
Let's do it.
Collab.
Okay. Yeah. I think, but the thing is as well, is it's frozen veg for me, like kind of brings up a time of my parents cooking and stuff. And it's like, we all did quite well with frozen veg, and then as you mentioned earlier, it just got sexed up with, it's got to be healthy, it's got to be fresh, it's got to be
Organic.
Organic, yeah.
So yeah, let's bring back frozen veg.
yeah.
Also,
We're in.
Greg's have started to, because I was looking actually at the hunt, obviously I'm looking all the time at it, but Greg's features quite heavily.
Greg's a staple, hun.
So steak bake was used to be our go-to. Is there
I don't know what steak bake is.
Nicola?
Seriously. I don't want to give anyone an impression that I was health conscious when I was like a teenager in my early. It was money that dictated what I ate. Porridge oats I lived on.
But they're good to your gut.
They are very, yeah.
If I had to have one food group for the rest of my life, my food group would be Greg's.
Really?
Yeah, I just
What's
love
your
it.
go-to?
Well, it depends. Always a sausage roll. Can't leave without a sausage roll. Chicken bake. I'm savoury all the way through. I'm not really interested in donuts or anything like that. But any of the bites, I'm here for it. Yeah.
Oh, the chicken one. Do you remember that? Oh, that was
Cheese
So
and
what is
onion.
the steak one you're talking about?
So it's basically like a pastry pillow,
Yeah.
would you say, that has basically steak and gravy in it. I'm not sure how much of that meat is steak.
It could be horse.
It could be anything.
You never thought you'd tune into a gut health podcast and would be talking about Greg's, but
So
this is what it's all
that's
about.
going to be like probably doing 0 for your gut microbiome.
But makes us happy.
Makes you happy. Yeah. But I love, I eat plant-based. So I have like plant-based chicken nuggets. So this is a very common meal that I'll have. So it sounds rubbish, right? Because plant-based chicken nuggets, are they doing much for my microbiome? Not really. I love mayonnaise. Have so much mayonnaise. And that actually, people get stressed out, like, oh, it was an ultra-processed food. It's basically rapeseed oil, super healthy fat, and a couple of other ingredients thrown in. I don't worry about it. But then what I do to make it good for my gut is I have frozen peas and frozen sweet corn.
Yeah.
And then sometimes even worse, I get mayonnaise and mix it with a bit of ketchup. Just classy as hell.
I think that's a mania. My husband does that, mixes the double dips, the mayonnaise and the ketchup.
So no, it does make it really nice. I don't
Like a
mix it
prawn
together,
rose.
but I have the two separately and then I double dip. And it's just an
one
absolute
and the
winner.
other.
So if you want to have stuff like the Greg's pastry, like, not that I'm going to recommend eating stuff like that every day as a dietitian, but like when you have things like that, just have it like with a pickled onion or with like veggies and stuff on the side.
I'll take so
What can
pickled
you
onion
add?
counts. What can you add to your So that's a good. Imagine just on the street like a jar of pickled onions and
And a bag of spinach.
Yeah, exactly. At 3 a.m.
Pickled eggs.
Or
Or
gherkins.
anyway.
Oh my God, I love
Yeah.
gherkins. Go good. Yeah.
That we actually made recently. It was a brie and gherkin pickle dip. With breadcrumbs on the top. It was
well done.
absolutely fantastic.
Alana says we. It was me. Alana comes round to
The
my house
royal
for
we.
me to cook.
The royal we.
For her because she's shy to cook.
Something that I don't think is going to be sort of savable here is a Rustler's burger.
Do you remember that?
You know the one
Newsagent
ones we
food.
made?
Is that the one you put in the microwave?
Yeah, the one that
Oh,
you get
God.
on the way home from the
Sweaty.
club, and you
Yeah.
get in and you devour it.
Do you remember some of the garages used to have a microwave so you could do it
Yeah.
there
Yes.
at 3 a.m.?
Okay, you know what's terrible though? Lots of hospitals do. So when I worked at Hammersmith, and this is why, I mean, poor healthcare staff who are working through the night just unfortunately only have rubbish to eat. They have those kind of microwavable pasties, burgers, pizzas. I mean, pizza should never be put in the microwave.
Chicago
I'm
Town
sure.
pizza's that same, isn't it?
Unless you're warming it up from the night.
Yeah, so those burgers, I mean, just awful.
I've just had an idea what we could do because, like Hun Culture, like a lot of Huns, particularly on a Sunday afternoon, will be getting their nutrition from what I've keep saying, newsagents. Perhaps we should put like a newsagent, the best. If you're going to eat from the newsagents, this is the best thing that you can have. And we're going to do like rustlers,
Yes.
super noodles, soups, and things like that. I think that's where we can get Huns talking about gut culture.
Yeah, and if you like fire a pickled onion on there all's well.
I mean, I feel like that's damage limitation as opposed to like a nutritional approach to diet intake. It's like when you're going to eat Rustler's burgers, when. Try and add a few of these things to it.
Imagine just at 3 a.m. just slapping it open with a bit. Come on.
Yeah.
I'll put
Put
some
some
sauerkraut
cucumber
on
in there.
Yeah.
A cucumber in
some
there.
cucumber.
Yeah,
Bit of
cucumber.
crunch.
See, I'm a big fan because I eat a lot of junk food. So I exercise a lot, I run a lot, and I weightlift a lot. So I need a lot of calories. I'm plant-based, but I'm not going to eat lentils. As much as I love lentils, it's not going to happen.
Why not? Too much for your...
So I eat like lots of plant-based burgers. I like plant-based sausages, like quite a lot of junk food, but you can make it healthy. I just load it up with those big old portobello mushrooms, sometimes like pineapple, sometimes beetroot. Like I don't think there's anything you can't throw on a burger. Likewise, tacos. Tacos can be really healthy.
Yes, everything
like loads
in.
of black beans, avocado, like in guacamole, tomatoes, lettuce, and you can just pile it up. So a lot of the relationships we see between like so-called ultra-processed food and ill health is not necessarily what's in those foods. It's what people are not eating when they consume those foods.
Yeah.
So that's why adding, even if you're having a ready meal, just go and microwave some broccoli and carrots and put it on the side. And actually many actually of the ready meals are pretty healthy.
Speaking about ultra-processed foods, should we be scared? What's your take on it?
That ultra-processed food, or ultra-processed, is a useless term for describing whether a food is nutritious or not. And it's like every single study that has separated ultra-processed foods into different types has found that things like bread can actually be beneficial, or they're just neutral. And the usual suspects, like Skittles and donuts, are, lo and behold, bad for us. And so it's like there is a book, and I've read it, and it is such a one-sided narrative. So it's not that it's all wrong, because these things never are. It's just that it's oversimplified. And I sort of find it ludicrous that we are considering, like if you have a ready meal, I talked about ready meal before, with like a bit of chicken in it, it might have some rapeseed oil because it's a cheap oil, but it's a healthy oil. It might have a few veggies in, probably not many, and it might have some rice and maybe a bit of salt. That's not unhealthy. And just because it's packaged up doesn't change the nutritional quality of that food. And I've heard the author of this ultra-processed book say, it's about the intention, like it's about the selling of the product. But your intention doesn't change the physicochemical properties of the food. It doesn't change nutritionally what it is. And like I said, a lot of what makes ultra-processed diets bad is what they don't have in them. So if you were to have a ready meal, and I've eaten tons of ready meals in my life, just pile on some veggies on there. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really unhelpful. I think the way the whole narrative is become dominated by ultra-processed food is really unfair. And if you go like onto Reddit or Facebook, where members of the public are talking about this, people are actually freaked out about eating bread. And I just cannot believe in a world of where, like you read reports about kids where they're having a packet of crisps for breakfast, or they're having a Red Bull for breakfast. They're subsisting on energy drinks. People are having, fast food and takeouts that are like 1,200 calories. Like this is the way we are eating, and this is 95% of the problem. And then people are like, oh my God, Hovis seed sensations. Mm-hmm. So like for the record, I eat supermarket bread. I do enjoy making some bread at home. I eat bread all the time from supermarkets, have zero concerns.
And I think that's what, the thing that we do, we demonize food. I mean, there's stuff like Sunny D that was actually, pretty bad.
It was really bad. Skittles is awful. And
I love
Can I just say this though? So I've read this book, and there's this part of it where it says, I had an ultra-processed cocktail, and it describes it as being, I think from memory, Doritos, Skittles, and like a Red Bull.
I thought you meant
so that I was like, this sounds
but
like
an ultra-processed, but I mean, maybe he did. Mm-hmm. But it's just shit. Mm-hmm. When did this become ultra-processed? Doritos are shit. Mm-hmm. No one has ever pretended Doritos are a health food. Skittles are, and so is Red Bull. What does it being ultra-processed change about this? And I dare say, if you made at home, so there's this whole thing, like if you cook and eat only from ingredients you'd find in your grandma's pantry, I am pretty sure if you mixed up loads of table sugar, mixed it with water, squeezed some lemon juice in there as a drink and just drank that, chopped up some potatoes, baked them with salt and an oil that you find, and just ate that, you'd feel pretty crap.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be ultra processed. It's just crappy foods. So it's a stupid idea. I hope we get past it and someone can actually add some nuance to the conversation. And it's like, I've been in nutrition. Sorry, I'm getting on my high horse.
No, please do.
For like 15 years, every 2 or 3 years, there is a doctor, male, well-spoken, with an agent who has a new sciencey way of describing nutrition. So it will either be hyperinsulinemia, so it's all about lowering carbohydrate intake, or it's about emulsifiers and neural pathways in the brain. Whereas none of this stuff really changes the dominant things that we know. Like Sunny D is shit. Skittles are shit.
Yeah.
Like I like Skittles, but they're nutritionally terrible for us, and we should eat them in moderation and as a treat. So yeah, ultra-processed food.
It also, I think, clouds the fact that the stuff that is actually quite dangerous, like colonics is quite a good example of this? Have you ever had a colonic?
No.
Very personal question.
No. But I know someone who's had it done, and one of the reasons I'm not like anti-colonic, but I saw the thing, and it was because it was somebody that I knew having it done. That's kind of scarred my memory. So I
got one done on Groupon in a hotel room.
Oh, bless you.
Like, what the fuck? I was like 21 and I
But
was
this
like, on
extreme
Groupon.
behaviour is how we associate, well, how we did, definitely in our 20s, associate health. Like, and I think that's why these extreme views and opinions get airtime, because I think that's how we were brought up to think. It's like, to be healthy, we have to go extreme. But obviously, we now know the journey that we've been on, it doesn't have to
Absolutely,
be that way.
yeah.
was it a travel lodge?
Honestly, I can't remember. But I'm
Like
like,
that matters.
Oh, it matters.
If it was the Ritz, would that be okay?
yeah. But you can like the risks of like perforating your colon and stuff like that. It's crazy.
I've perforated my colon in many a travel lodge. Not for this podcast. I'm joking. That was a joke. It was a joke. It's a Premier Inn.
Well, yeah, I don't know the long-term effects, but I just remember her kind of massaging me with obviously the tube up my bum and the water. I mean, a lot of stuff comes out. But yeah, well, it was a mistake. And people still ask about, like, on the Gut Stuff Instagram, it's one of the most asked questions is colonics, because people are still, I mean, they're not regulated, are they? Like, that's the scary thing. Like, it's not a regulated thing. People just literally picture them on Groupon in a hotel room with a tube and some water.
Okay, that's terrifying. And you did it for health reasons.
Well, I was 22 and thought it was like a cool thing to do.
I'm not judging, because I tried to, when I was 7, I wanted blue eyes because you have beautiful blue eyes. I tried to colour my eyes with a biro when I was like 7. And then when I was 16, I got coloured contact lenses. Ended up,
Remember that? They were very hard.
No. Ended up in A&E because I was an idiot. I wasn't cleaning them properly. So we've all been there. Not making great choices.
I doctored my own brace with pliers because I wanted my teeth to be straight. They can't go poker straight.
That's brilliant.
I pierced my own belly button with a poppy pin.
Oh no, I've pierced my ears. We got in the drama room at lunchtime, pierced my ears a lot.
Did you put an ice cube behind it? Or in front of it? Ice cube first and then...
Yeah.
So we digress. So colonics are definitely a no.
Okay, so ask Sophie Medlin some gastro geniuses about this kind of stuff. I would just say go with just an expert dietitian or a doctor if they say.
But as well, like,
colonics
in
are a
what
bad
other
idea, no.
situation would you go to somebody unregulated in a hotel room and let them do that?
But it goes back to the point where in the media at that time, ex-celebrity or whatever celebrity, I won't name anyone, drops £30 because of a colonic. And then because it was just thrown at us from all angles, we are then on Groupon going, it's basically like a pyramid scheme, isn't it? It's like, do you know what I mean?
Ponzi scheme for
it's like,
poos.
yeah, it's like, we're going to put this out and now we own part of these Groupon and you're going to go and get a colonic in a travel lodge.
But it's also, there's so much money to be made by making people worry about their health.
Yeah.
The amount of young girls that have issues, of GI issues, from not pooing at school, like, is massive. And it's crazy. Like, and I remember at school, like, the boys would be like, you did a poo after you go to the toilet. And you'd be like, maybe. I don't know until I get in there. I'll let you know. But, like, the amount of holding that in, or, like, not going to, not doing it at a new partner's house, etc., etc. But that can actually affect, and especially with that and skinny teas and people basically giving themselves severe diarrhea and dehydrating themselves and then not being able to poo at school.
And then avoiding food groups and becoming malnourished. Yeah.
It all
Blows
sort
my
of
mind.
feeds into like a bigger monster, doesn't it?
Yeah. What's the most extreme thing you've done from a sort of diet gut point of view?
Oh, I've literally, I've probably just eaten the same thing for long periods of time. Like that, you know, like as I said, I did Atkins before back in the day, and I was literally eating like sausages like for days. Now about the Atkins. No, but I would literally. There was a time when I was like I was just eating packet ham because I just thought, oh, it's meat. Oh, and it's you've got to have the protein. Not knowing really I hadn't read the Atkins book. It was just what I thought that I had to do, and it didn't go that well, to be honest.
Excluding entire foods and food groups doesn't normally.
I've done that so many times, and I throughout my years of I go to the gym a lot, but for me to be I've always thought like healthy being skinny, and for me, and I've been that, and for me as a 6'4" bloke who looks like a bouncer, it's like it's really difficult to maintain that, and I've done it, and it's not a nice existence, No. So don't do it.
Don't do it. Be happy. Have Greg's.
With some frozen
peas. Add some peas. What things can we have in our sort of fad fighting toolkit, our armory? Like, what things would you say? We've talked a bit about red flags, but we're gullible and gullible here. What things would you tell us that? And I get the whole of it's too good to be true, but is there tangible things that we can sort of have in our armory with things that could be bullshit?
To be honest, I think this is now really, really, really tough because it used to be. Was Gillian McKeith naughties?
Yes.
When it was like
what a niche Scottish poo reference.
She wasn't even a
niche Scottish poo reference. But you know how like you can look at these people, you're like, this person definitely bought their PhD off the internet. They are so clearly a quack. It's just you can protect yourself because it's obvious. It's not obvious anymore. Like you have professors and doctors at legitimate scientific and kind of academic institutes who are, I think, the quacks of today. And so this is why on my blog, again, I'm pretty vicious and I don't go after Gwyneth Paltrow because I kind of feel like, well, I mean, why would she know about any of these things? I go after the people that are using their credentials to, I think, scare people into worrying about things they have no reason to worry about. So that's my preamble into this, that I actually think it has never been harder to be a informed consumer and to be able to spot rubbish. But I think there are some things in terms of people. In general, birds of a feather flock together. So if someone is hanging out with quacks, they're probably one of them, even if they don't look like it. So, for example, I will never appear professionally with a glucose goddess. People who do either don't understand science, because the glucose goddess doesn't, or they're just happy to get the attention by being with someone who, again, is scaring people into worrying about things they don't need to worry about. So that's a good red flag. So a green flag is someone who doesn't do that. Another green flag, if you're looking for people to follow, is generally medical societies. So like we have the Diabetes UK, I think, like, is it Gut UK is the charity? They generally have very high standards. So they don't usually associate with people who are dodgy. So that's a good thing. Like any cardiologists association and stuff. So if they speak with those, they're good. If they speak at conferences like Primal Crypto, and like with celebrities, it's probably a really bad sign.
They need to be drinking with you in Madrid, really.
They do need to. EASD, the European Association for the Study of Diabetes, we do not tolerate quacks. We drink very strong vodkas.
But no quackery is
no
bad.
quackery at all. And in terms of, so I mean, looking at things that are too good to be true, good signs are when people are using words like however and but, and there's a bit of nuance. It might be boring, but that's often a sign they are really considering what they're telling you. Nutritional supplements. There are some companies doing probiotics that actually do some research, not my area, so I'll stay away from that one. But things like the glucose goddess supplement. So it's hard. It's never been harder.
The thing is, as well, is that from like the TikTok age, is that you're not even inviting these experts into you're not even going out looking for them. They are finding you on an algorithm. And, the whole essence of TikTok is to find that hook that is going to get you in. And, after this podcast, because the phones are listening to us, there'll probably be a lot of stuff that comes up. And you hear it and it goes, oh, that resonates with me. And then you go into it. And then you're all of a sudden on this, sort of 30 posts deep on this expert's page, and then your views on stuff. I can see how people
Oh, and that's a really good point, actually. And I think, so people talk about financial conflicts of interest. Like you can't trust people because they've worked with this company or they've worked with the food industry. Actually, I mean, that can be a problem, but it is far, far less of a problem than people think. I think a bigger problem is the need for attention. And I think, like, if you look at what people are willing to do to get on TV and to whatever this need that we have to be gurus and be listened to. So another massive flag is when someone is like pumping content all the time because they're not busy. Like I have a really busy day job, and most like doctors and dietitians and stuff do, is when people are also kind of being a bit controversial to get attention. That is a huge red flag.
Rage baiting, isn't it? Or it's
rage baiting,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's so good to hear you say as well that it's never been harder, because I think, as laymen's, we're like, oh my God, I'm such a mug. Why did I believe that? And I shared it in all my WhatsApp groups, and I feel like a mug now because, people are now saying that it's not true or they're saying the opposite. And I think it's so great to hear you say it's difficult. It's hard to decipher what's bullshit.
So I run a really small dietetic clinic. So I don't see that many patients, but it is so concerning now. And it's that people being duped is a horrible feeling. So I feel so honoured when patients want to come and see me, like they trust you, they really believe in you. And the idea that people are using their credentials to dupe people, I think is so wrong. And like very often, so people come to see me a lot because they're worried about their glucose. As it happens, like they've had standard medical tests, there is no reason for them to be concerned about their glucose, but they've been told that their spikes are unhealthy or whatever it might be. And so I let them down really gently because they feel like a mug. They feel like, I can't believe I spent £400 on this. I can't believe that I've made all these decisions that are ultimately bad for me. Because very often people's glucose wasn't a problem, but now they've gone on a high-fat diet, which is high in saturated fat, and their cholesterol's gone up. So they have actually worsened their health by following this, oh my God, I've got to reduce my glucose spikes. And so the biggest thing I do is really gently let them down. Like, it is not your fault you felt for this, because it sounds scientific. And whenever I think about this and I write about this, I think of someone like my mum. Like, my mum is an intelligent woman. She is nobody's fool. And she would look at some of this stuff on the internet and be like, oh, but it's published in Nature Medicine, or it was presented at this conference. And it doesn't mean that it's not rubbish. And I think that's why it's so hard. So some people think I'm a bit too vicious. I think these people deserve it.
I got caught out recently with an intolerance test. Because I think that's the new thing on these, the Groupons of the world, is get an intolerance test. And I paid the money and I was like, this is great. And I'm going to find out what foods I should eat and what I shouldn't be. And the document came on like a PDF with no like header or footer on it. It was just like a list of things.
No.
It was just,
Did it tell you Pinot Grigio?
No, yeah.
Because everyone I know it says Pinot Grigio. I'm like, anything that tells me that,
I
I'm
was
out.
just about to say, what would be your full of shit? To ask Nicola, we ask our guest to ask an expert what it is, and intolerance tests.
Yeah.
What did it say? What did it say to cut out?
Well, it was like, bread. It was like certain types of bread and this, that,
Basically
and the
what
other.
you've eaten.
Yeah,
It's basically what you've eaten.
Yeah,
Isn't
it's basically like percentage. It was just like, you should have so and so percentage of this, and I was so confused by all the numbers. I literally felt duped. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt stupid.
Oh, pile of rubbish.
Yeah.
And if you did it again, like if you got another voucher and did it the next day, it would tell you a list of things which were the complete opposite.
It's the ones that you've got to send a lock of hair in. I'm like, no way. Come on.
You're getting nothing of me, not even my hair.
And let's expand that to personalized nutrition, or that we can program diets based on your glucose responses and stuff. The science is not there yet. So what we do know, if there's one truism in nutrition, it's that having lots of fruit and veg is lots of plant foods, whole plant foods, is a very, very good idea for pretty much everyone.
And what we say as well is like a lot of the personalization that we talk about, actually for us, it's like down to behavior. Like even though we're twins, it's actually what we like and dislike in terms of foods and the way we eat and the way we exercise, completely different. Things. Like that. That's where the personalization comes, I believe. I think it's behavioural personalization or lifestyle. I've got a toddler. There's no way that I can cook every meal from scratch or whatever. I think that is more personalised rather than specific.
Oh, 100%. Like behavioural personalisation. And that's what dietitians have been doing for years. That's what you do. You base someone's recommendations around, tastes and preferences. But it's the biological personalisation. And it's as expensive, or probably a lot more expensive, than food intolerance. But it's the same thing. It's not reproducible. There's no good science behind it.
But some of these tests are 30 quid, and then some of them are 300 quid. And it's like there's a currency, there's a whole business around this. And I think for people who are looking for answers of, why, the reason I was there, I was like, why am I so bloated all the time? Oh, let's Google it. And then, 20 minutes later, I'm handing over 80 quid and being told that I can't eat this.
Spitting in a tube.
Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy.
And non-specific symptoms like bloating, a zillion things can cause bloating.
Tight trousers.
Brain fog. Because no one wants to have a brain that feels foggy or be bloated or feel tired. And it's the kind of thing that catches you that you're actually, you might be well, there might be something going on, go and see a doctor or a proper dietitian. But it's, if I just, 30 quid, I can find out, I'm going to get myself fixed. Yeah, it's very tempting.
That happened to me in the last 18 months, maybe 12.
I think like the amazing thing about this stuff, and the reason I'm so passionate about it, is that, when you see patients and they have Crohn's or they have a very serious gastrointestinal condition, or if you've ever dealt with patients with kidney disease, they have genuinely restrictive diets. And for many of them, they have to have restrictive diets to keep control of their symptoms and their condition. What those people wouldn't do to be able to eat more freely. And it's like when I see people being told, oh, you've got to keep your glucose low, and they're reordering what they eat, so the kind of meal ordering thing. And so like people have asked me, what about the meal ordering? Should I eat the fat first? Should I eat the protein first? And I'm like, if you have type 2 diabetes, it can be an effective way of lowering glucose. If you don't have diabetes, it will lower your glucose, but I don't recommend you focus on meal ordering. Why? Because let's not turn every meal into a scientific
meal ordering
experiment.
is basically the order in which you eat stuff.
Yeah.
If you had things in your plate, you'd say, right, I have to have all that first, and then
I
that,
like having
and then...
a bit of everything in my fork in one.
Well, it's nice like that. But like if, for example, you've got diabetes, type 2 diabetes specifically, if you have the protein first and then the fat, it can lower your glucose without changing what you eat. And so it can be useful. But my point is, even though it could lower your glucose if you don't have diabetes, there's no need for you to lower glucose. And again, why focus on these protocolized meals? Just enjoy your food with your friends.
Steak bake first, then peas, guys. On that
everyone's
note, busy and got jobs to do. Shall we go and say something that us three have learned actually on the podcast today, having Nicola Font of all knowledge in our midst?
I think it's just so reassuring to hear that, you're like, there's so much quackery out there and it's difficult to avoid, and it is really hard not to believe it. And I think that's just reassuring for everyone.
Yeah, my key take home is never have a colonic in a hotel room.
Can confirm, don't do that.
No, but I have a real one. It's just about, it's reassuring to hear that it is a minefield out there, and there is all of this information that we're supposed to find a route through, and just to hear from somebody in the know that actually it's a maze out there, that's really reassuring.
And also, I think for me, like just the fun aspect of food that I think we lose, like even now that it's kind of our jobs as well, that embracing the Hun culture of the food industry where fun comes first.
Yeah.
Fun first, then food, then peas. At them at all times.
Bring back frozen peas.
Yeah, bring back
I
frozen
want to see
peas.
frozen pea post on Hunsnet tomorrow.
Frozen peas with the little carrots that are in triangles,
Oh, perfect.
and the sweet corn. 3 of them together.
Yeah, this newsagent things, 3 things about your newsagent that are good for your gut health.
Yeah, we need
to get on that.
Yeah, we need to find out. Yeah, if we were only going to shop at a newsagent, what's the best that we could do?
We're on it.
Pepperami and a pack to Starburst.
Let's end on that. That's it.
Thank you so much. You're like a match made in heaven for us. Where can people find you, like Nicola, your Substack? Do you just type in Dr. Nicola Guess for the Substack?
Yeah, I think happily my Substack is the first thing that comes up if you Google my name.
And Hunsnet's.
Yeah, you can find me on Hunsnet or at the Travel Lodge having a colonic.
See you there, honey.
And we'll come and go, you okay, hon? Do you want us to find you?
Did this got you excited? Join us on our 100 Days to Hack Your Gut Health programme. The link is in the bio.
Come and find us on Instagram at The Gut Stuff. In fact, we're at The Gut Stuff pretty much everywhere.
So hit subscribe. Your gut will thank you for it.
Keep your shit together and have a gut day.